Okay, welcome back to Cool Club's headquarters here in Scottsdale, Arizona. We are here with John McMillan. He's our Titleist rep for Arizona. Thank you for coming in today. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
This is the day before official release, but this isn't going to go out until official release, and you are here for TSR drivers and fairways. I want to talk through all of this stuff, and we're lucky enough as well to have our CEO and founder, Mark Timms, in the room. Mark and I have both tried the products already, so I think with the group of us we're going to have a good discussion. We'll talk about all the technical stuff and all the stuff that people want to know about this week. So let's get into it. 2 years since TSI. Touch on the Titleist evolution, how we got onto TS, TSI, TSR. Run us through that.
The TS was really the Titleist kind of speed project, and I think it grew out of the 917 driver time frame when we were, in a competitive environment, wanting to be in the bags of some of the best players, and we went to some of our fitting partners that were telling us what we needed to do. Ultimately, what it ended up doing is we went down and kind of broke the entire product down, kind of all the way down to the chassis, and started rebuilding to get us more speed. And whether it was the shape, whether it was the shaft weight, whether it was the shaft length, it all boded well to get into a new product called TS, which was the original, basically our original step out of the 9 series of drivers. And the Titleist Speed project proved to be incredibly successful for us. Something different, something with a totally different name, and people pretty much knew when we had a 915 we were going to have a 917. They expected it to be kind of a 919. Now it's all of a sudden it's TS, it's something new to talk about. But the whole thing was really driven around speed. How do we get more ball speed and be more competitive with some of the competitive products in the marketplace? So 2 years fast forward after that, we move into TSI, which is, modifying some of the shapes, adding some refinements in it, but also using an insert with ATI 425 that allowed us to move away from the 6.4 titanium. A little bit more. We could do more things with it that we wanted to make it faster. Again, it was about getting more speed. Again, TS, Titleist Speed Project, TSI, taking it the next step further, and now we're at TSR, which is really refining the speed, and we've refined some of the products, we've refined a little bit of the shape, but again, taking the speed project to the next level and doing it right now. We're seeing tremendous success with it. So that's kind of how it evolved from 917, where we were, at one point in time, we like to look at surveys and what do the amateurs play. We were not where we wanted to be on a count at the U.S. Amateur in that year. We weren't first, we weren't second, we weren't third. And that's a concern of ours based on the best players in the world. And now when you fast forward into TS and TSI, without question, we're right where we want to be with the best players in the world, and the product's proven itself week in and week out. So,
right. And that for me, we're all new to this as well. This specific product, and R standing for refined. I think when we go through these points, we'll really see that is what has gone on with this project for you guys. Going back to the 9 series, the 910. I remember that was our standout driver. I was working back in London, and that was a great driver. And then Titleist went off the boil, and your Callaways and your TaylorMades dominated the driver for a long time, and TS came out, and you're right, it really did come back. And this is a great point to go to Mark. You were playing TSI last year.
Yeah, I played TSI. And to be honest, to John's point, I would definitely agree with that. We just started doing robot testing about a couple of years ago on all the different drivers and stuff. And, last driver I played of Titleist was a 975D, I think. For an extended period of time anyway. I try a lot of stuff, but what stays in the bag for a while. But, last year when we tested the TSI, it was one of the best drivers we tested on the robot, if not the best.
All around
on everything. So we look at like 5 different points, right? We look at forgiveness, which is basically both directional forgiveness and, distance forgiveness. It was one of the best in that category. We look at draw bias and fade bias. That's not right or wrong. It depends on the player. But they were all doing exactly what they said they were going to do. And then we look at spin rate, which is spin launch, which is how much it spins versus how much it launches. And it was really good in all those. And that was probably the only driver that was good in all categories.
Well, spin launch isn't necessarily good or bad either, but it's in line with the manufacturer's recommendation on the product, basically.
Exactly.
It was in line with that.
So it worked. And, like I said, we tested that 2 years ago almost exactly, started to. And, our sales showed that. We've always sold, a fair number of Titleist drivers, a lot of, Titleist avid golfers, and a lot of brand loyalty, as much as probably any brand. but we never sold that many. And this last year, that's gone like 4 times I think of what we've sold in the past. So
It was a really,
it's right up there in past. So what John was talking about, they weren't where they wanted to be. Well, they are now, and now TSR obviously is a whole next level to stuff. And we haven't done all the robot testing yet. Give us about a month. We'll kind of fill everybody in on how that goes. But
maybe that'd be a fun one to get you back in on. We'll talk
Yeah,
about
absolutely. Love to.
pre and post. And just touching, we are brand neutral. This is not a sales pitch for us. This is just purely an educational, moment to talk about the new product, get everyone excited about it. But Titleist is really good across the bag. We see that when someone comes in for a fit-in with us, we might fit them for a different driver, fairway, hybrid, and a set of irons. They can have every brand in the bag. I think Titleist are really a powerhouse this year, especially if the driver is comparative to last year, of being able to play a full deck, even down to the putter. So I think that's a real big brand statement in terms, and a golf ball and glove. You've really got the full works there.
Can't forget
so.
that golf ball. Don't forget that ever.
we don't forget. We'll forget that now and then because we don't really sell golf balls. You guys don't. I know that.
So here's the product. It's on your left hand side there, John. Give us a little walkthrough of similar like the model releases compared to last year. There is a new style product in this in regard to Fairway wood. Maybe a brief overview from your standpoint.
Sure. I can just pick it up and hand it over to Mark a little bit. But
Sure.
but the TSR2 is, when you compare it to TSI, you're going to notice a couple of different things right out of the gate. Just aesthetically, you're going to see that it's a lot cleaner sole. It's really designed to be a little bit more efficient, so faster through the air, just with the new shape and design, and there's a lot less drag, whether it be the design features on the bottom or something is making the weight more efficient by putting it into the back rather than the sole. Even the port for the adjustable SureFit hosel is a little smaller. Again, that reduces drag. All this stuff brings into, it's 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 of bits and pieces here that make for more.
Yeah.
We're looking for speed.
It's like the F1 car. You're just chipping away at little pieces every.
That's exactly it. We're all working with limitations. Let's fix what we can fix and make it faster. And the whole thing about TS has been Titleist speed. So TS, TSI, TSR, we're refining it. And so the little refinements we make in it, and people notice for sure in the TS2, the TSR2, is a difference in shape. It's we've had people sit down and say, hey, that looks a lot like the old, like the TSI3.
When we did the fitting session, I know when I put it down, I wasn't sure that it was the 2. Right. It is still not that the TSI2 looked bad, but I'm a reasonable player, and I looked down at the TSI2, and I was like, it's a big head. There's a lot of golf club there, so I was always going to be the 3 player. But this model, I looked down at the 2, and I thought, playable.
Sure.
It doesn't bother me. Yeah.
Until you flip it over, you didn't really know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think that's cool about this is the change is enough to make a difference visually and aesthetically to better players. And we want to have a golf club that sits in the playing position that you have confidence with.
Yeah.
And we've had guys that go from 3s to 2s and 2s to 3s, and that's a real compliment to our design team. Stefan Luttrell does a fantastic job inside at producing these products, and from the players on tour that may be bouncing between models, it's great. So
not just bouncing between models like that. What we noticed, there was a few guys there when we were doing our testing day. For instance, I selected the TSI3 driver, worked really well, loved it, and then I went down to the fairway wood, but the TSR2 was the go for me, and it's weird to mix and match. So you think, oh, I'm a 3 in the driver, I should be a 3 in the fairway, but the 2 felt for me way easier to hit, launched really, really high, super forgiving. So I think you're going to see a lot of people mix and matching drivers and fairways too.
And you hit kind of two of the 3 numbers out of or descriptions out of the fairway wood. You want it to go high and be forgiving, and those are some of the keys that we're looking for. And you know what? Everybody's different in what they want, and it's about making sure you have the best 14 clubs that we can do. You guys do it. You guys are the best at it. So it's one of those things where you look at what you got going and you want to fit for the best product. So
that refinement in the fairway wood, like you said, a little higher, a little more spin, a little more forgiving. We've gone down a road with fairway woods that guys are hitting them as far as they are their drivers. And you stand there in a fit-in and you're like, oh, he's pumping his driver and his fairway wood's exactly the same. What are we doing? Then you're dropping back to 5 woods. So I think the intention, it looks like you're going to be able to play a true 3 wood that does go higher, lands on greens easier, and goes shorter than the driver. So it actually has a place in the bag.
And then find out why why do you hit your fairway? Tell me where you hit your fairway wood? I mean, do you hit it on tight holes where you need to hit it to a position? You have to hit the fairway, or it's too penal. That's a question we ask a lot of guys in the fitting is, where do you typically hit your fairway wood? Hey, I love it off the deck on shorter par fives, and I'm going for it. Or hey, I never hit it off the deck. I hit it off the tee, which is why where you'll see when we talk about the fairways, there's that plus. But something for more confidence and things like that. But find out why they're hitting the club. And
that's a really good point, actually. And you bring up, you kind of hit it on the TSI, the 2 plus, right?
Right.
The bigger one. So, yeah, that's absolutely true, and that's why we put a lot of people in like 4 woods and 7 woods and stuff like that, because they can't hit 3 high enough to use it for anything. I'm dead opposite this spectrum. I actually like the TS 2 plus because I only hit a 3 wood off fairways to reach par fives, and I want to hit as far as I possibly can.
Right.
I don't hit as far as I used to, unfortunately. And I'll never hit off the tee because I'd rather swing easy with a driver than hit a 3 wood for the most part. So it'll be really rare. So for me that worked out well, but if somebody wants to hit off the fairway, it's a different animal.
Right.
Just trying to hit it and land it on the green and keep it someplace, which is what a lot of the tour players are going to these higher lofted fairway woods like 4 woods and stuff because they hit them too far.
Yeah.
When you hit your driver 350 and your longest thing you got into a par 4 is the par 5 is 250, 260, 280 or something. Those guys hit 4 woods that far, so
Right.
they don't need anything longer. So just you do have to look at what you're using it for, sure.
And that's one of the reasons that we've taken, kind of this step we've taken is, you can look at the bottom of the golf club and it doesn't say 3s, 4s, 5s, or 7s or 9s. It just gives you a loft. And the loft allows you to play into your game and into your bag. How that loft's going to produce the shots you're looking for. 13.5 could be a 15, could be a 16.5. So the number of players that we have going into 16.5 fairways is more than you think.
Yeah, I think that would probably be one of our most sold Titleist
I think
fairways.
it's probably over half that we go that
Yeah.
route. If you think about most of the people don't have a lot of club head speed. We fit a lot of good players, obviously, tour players, a lot of them, but we also fit a lot of guys like me and older that were good players at one point in time, don't have a lot of speed. And 4 wood's going to go further, carry further than a 3 wood.
Definitely get rid of the whole macho thing. I need a 3 wood in the bag and just get yourself something that goes in the air easy and that's it.
Yep.
Right.
So the 2 plus this is the new edition. You had regular fairway woods, 175 cc's. This is 190.
190.
Okay.
So this is, we kind of jumped off the drivers a little bit. We'll go through the 2s and the fairways first. But the 2, basically you have the 2 and the 2 plus. I'll show them the mark over here. You can see if it's on the camera there, but.
Yeah, you really can't see a lot just looking at it. From the
you're
bottom, it doesn't look a lot different.
Right.
From the top, it definitely looks bigger, but honestly, it doesn't look huge.
Yeah, you're talking 15 cc's, which isn't a lot, but it's enough to. It's there to develop a little bit more confidence. I mean, we had a competitor of ours that a couple years ago had the mini driver, and it was kind of a cool thing. I think what we're trying to do is let's find out where do you use your fairway wood? If it's somebody who's a very good fairway wood player, gets plenty of trajectory, or it's somebody who really just uses their fairway wood off the tee for positioning. Hey, the larger driver, the larger fairway wood, they're not going to be afraid of with that size.
Yeah. Oh, it's not, and it's not. Without using the brand, it's not a fad kind of thing. It's not something big, and you got to use a tee that's this kind of high. It looks like a fairway wood, just with a little bit meat on it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's just a little bit beefier piece for a little bit more confidence, at address, whether it be off the fairway or off the tee.
Yeah.
And I think that's player dependent off the fairway, but there's a lot of people that wouldn't mind having a little bit bigger fairway off if they're hitting it off the tee. And the design features really aren't that different. You're going to see the weight's been pushed a little bit further. We hooked out the active recoil channel.
That's it, right?
And that's the one thing that the recoil channel did a lot of. We got some good benefits out of it, but it was also pushing some weight. So we explored a little bit about what we could do if we removed that, and we were able to put the weights down low, up forward, and still get some good trajectory, and still get the forgiveness we want. So it's designed to be clean and simple. And if you look at the bottom of the drivers and fairway woods, they're just that. So that's again faster.
Oh, that's
with
super
higher
clean.
longevity.
I mean, look at the drivers, nothing on it. Just one weight in the back. And same thing with fairway wood, relatively clean.
Touch on maybe grab the 3 and show the bottom of the 3, because the 3 is different on the bottom. You've got the weight adjustability.
Right. So these are 2 different ones.
Right.
And the weight adjustability has changed here from TSI to TSR, right?
Correct.
You've
So
gone-
we've added a heel 1, heel 2, and a toe 1, toe 2. So there's 5 different settings on the weight if you're going to use. Talk about adjustability in the TSR3. I mean, the fairway woods, you've got, of course, the lofts. You've got the 16 different settings on the SureFit hosel. But not only that, you've got the 5 different settings on the weight and the bottom.
Comparative to last year's three options.
Right.
Correct, yeah. So it's just a matter of, sometimes you're looking at where do you want to put the weight. Maybe you want to put the weight a little bit more towards the heel to produce a different ball flight, or maybe you want to put the weight behind a little bit area where your misses. If you tend to miss it in the neck a little bit, maybe you want to put a little bit more, weight back there. But,
Yeah.
Allows a little bit more specialization. Again, we look at this as kind of a specialized speed if we had to generalize the 3 series. And then the straight speed is kind of the two series. A very simple 2-word answer on describing what you can do with 3. 3 is going to be obviously specializing to the weights on the bottom.
And that does make a little sense to some extent too, if you think about it. If the 3 is generally for the better player, not always, but for the most part, you could fine tune a better player into exactly what specs pretty well. The mid to high handicaps, trying to adjust, tiny bits here and there and adjustments is really difficult to get it right because the swings aren't exactly the same. I mean, even I'm like a good 4 or 5 or whatever. I don't think I'm good enough to test between some of these little notches. I mean, I cheat. I use the robot. I set the robot up with my swing and I try a bunch of clubs and I figure out which one's better on the robot because I don't hit it exactly the same, so it's hard to tell the difference.
Yeah, but it's nice to have a couple options in there, just from a standpoint of whether you like the bigger fairway wood or the smaller fairway wood or the more adjustable fairway wood. It's all about getting fit properly for the right one that you got 14 you can take with you.
Yeah.
Unless we can get it to 16. I wouldn't mind moving to 16.
I would be okay with that.
I think we'd all be okay.
I need less confusion in my head.
Yeah.
Minimal. Let's grab the either one of the drivers and then let's roll through it.
So we'll take the TSR 3, and what we've seen here is actually probably if you looked at TSI 3 and TSR 3, they look very similar.
When you change the least, probably, right?
It's the one we changed the least. And basically, if you say, hey, listen, what did you hear from the players on tour or players that our best players in the world is, we like to say we're super fortunate. Our testing facility, our testing ground are the best players in the world. So we get to work with them, and they're obviously unbelievable what they do. But they said, hey, listen, if you're going to make a change, just don't screw this one up because this has really been a home run.
It was most played on the PGA Tour last year, right?
Yeah. So it's from a driver standpoint and a model standpoint, it's been a absolute home run. And then just some of the things we've been able to do is just some slight changes in the design, but not a lot. The people that looked at the design and the efficiency of it loved the shape. So again, kept it clean on the bottom, even to the point where your sure fit hosel hole. It's about creating less drag. How do we make it? We're looking for, it's TS, don't forget.
Yeah.
Titleist Speed Project. So we're just trying to make it faster. Every little bit counts. You had a slight modification in the back, in the track technology back there.
Goes along, yeah. It clicks in easier. And
so it's a little easier. It's from a user standpoint, it's very easy to use. There are adjustable weights for the back of that as well. On both the drivers, on all the TSR drivers, you'll have a slightly different face. We're working with the same material, but we have a different system, more of a plateaued system in the 2 and the 4, and more of a ring system in the 3 series. 2 is kind of going to try to give you the most effective ball speed across the face, whereas the 3 is going to have. We're looking for how do we make it most effective for obviously for your good hits, but if you have a consistent miss hit.
Yeah. So 2 and 4 are identical faces, and 3 is the different one.
Yeah, I would say for the most part. I mean, the 4 is going to be a little bit smaller, but incorporates the same type of design feature internally. So the plateauing method and versus the ring technology we're using in the 3.
So that and then from what I've I listened to the tech talks on it, the ring technology on the 3 is repetitive impact, same spot.
Right.
And the other technology is a bit more miss-hit friendly. Yeah,
a bit more scattered, and we feel like you use the entire face. So we have some people that are looking for confidence that when they go at it hard, that slightly off-center shot is going to produce a good result. So that's kind of the whole refining the speed. What do we do? How can we make it so guys get more speed, but we're not sacrificing any dispersion? And that's the biggest thing that we've kind of gained out of this is, hey, we love the shape, we love some of the modifications we've done, but we've gained speed, which is ultimately TS, don't forget. So gaining speed, but we haven't given anything back. We haven't lost any dispersion.
Well, that's what I know. So I tested it. I don't think it's any secret that Titleist drivers for the better player, really traditional looking, still stayed with the black the whole time. It just looks simple and nice. So you stand over that and you feel good about it. and I spray the driver. Everyone knows it, but I hit this thing and it hit it bad, and it still went really good. So that was actually what surprised me the most out of it, and I really did get some ball speed jumps. I pushed into the mid-high 170s, and that is unheard of for me. So.
I mean, if it shocked anybody that we didn't come out with a red or yellow driver,
no,
I mean,
Not you guys.
I
Didn't shock us that you guys didn't.
I think as crazy as we've gone is charcoal.
Yeah. You went a little grayer one year. Yeah.
There's no flames on these coming out here. So, but to your point, I mean, our big thing is in our past launches, we've had the 2s and the 3s that have launched, and as we're doing we started to do a bunch of these fittings now. We felt it really important to have the TSR 4 launch at the same time.
Because in previous years, you've gone 2-3, hang on, 4-1.
Correct.
Right.
Correct. And we'll have a 1 that comes down after the first of the year, but the TSR 4 is launching right now with the 2 and the 3.
Yeah.
And the objective, I think, early on for TSI 4 was basically, hey, listen, what are we going to do? And we're going to really knock down launch. We're going to really knock down spin. It did a great job at that.
Yeah.
So it was it definitely did its job, but it also, zeroed in that focus on those players that would really fit this into a fairly tight target. But the TSR 4 has got, it's got the 2 weights on the bottom. So you got the forward weight up front, it's a little heavier, and the back weight a little bit lighter.
So when they come off the factory floor, in the first fitting, you're going to hit 11 grams forward, 3 grams back.
Correct.
And that is still your target, your low spin, low launch bomb.
Exactly, and it's also if you like a more of a traditional, and I hate to say traditional, but it's 430 cc's, so it's 30 cc's smaller than the 460 other other models.
That is visual. You can see that when you put it on the deck. You're like, there's less golf club there.
Yeah, if you said, hey, I love the 3, but could you make it smaller? Well, you got one here that's going to be lower launch, lower spin. However, the one caveat on this thing, and we've talked a little bit about it before, is because we have 2 weights, they're also interchangeable. You could flip the 11 to the back and the lighter one to the
You flip
front.
the 11 to the back, and you get way more forgiving and stuff, and you get pretty close to what the 3's concept is.
Yeah, we
It's
kind of
forgiving, right? So
yeah,
you kind of cross bridges a little bit there as you keep going up.
And I think Mark kind of phrased it when we talked about it initially, showing him. He said, "This is kind of like a 3.5."
That's the
Right.
terminology the fitter used with me too.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things, and I think that when you have that,
Well, it's 3.5 when you put the weights back, and then it's really 4 when you go the other way. So you got
exactly
some more there.
so I mean,
Bigger market than what it was last year, that's for sure.
bigger market, bigger fit, but also the launch at the same time is super important. We get some of our better players and people that are really anxious to try the models. Sometimes they got into the 2 or the 3 when they might have been a good fit for the 4. And now the 4 is in the mix right out of the gate. I think we're looking at between 10 and 15% of our fittings that I would say better player fittings might be 4s, and that's kind of where we've been.
And having an adjustable 4 is really important too, because before it was, you can either hit this thing or you can't. You give it a run, put it on the shelf. But now you've got, tinker around with it, fine tune it, and it might work, and look great.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing, is you just want to keep it. It's got the same clean look. It's got the same, shape. I mean, if you really look closely, obviously it's kind of like the TSR.
What percentage of sales was last year's TSR 4?
I'd have to
Got to be
check.
pretty damn low, I
That's
think.
probably
Under
pretty low.
5% is my
I would say
guess.
it's a single.
Yeah.
I can guarantee it's a single digit.
Yeah. Okay.
We had a couple hot spots, but I think overall, people, the 3 was so successful, the 2. But at the
Well,
same
launched
rate,
separately too. People got the 3s already, and then they really liked them, so they never probably even tried the 4.
I
They
like
already
it.
spent the money, they didn't want it, so it kind of makes sense to.
I liken all 3 of these to kind of coming out at the same time to when we came out with the T100 irons and the T200 irons, and then later came out with the T100S irons. So
Yeah.
I mean, it made sense to have them all together, to the 100, 100S and T200s at the same time.
Yeah.
The impact was greater.
And just a nod to the TSR, I'm assuming TSR 1, is it really does sit outside of this player category for the most part, right?
Yeah, I would say yes, just from a standpoint, it's kind of reach into a different area that we haven't hit very well in the past. I mean, I think you hit it earlier when you say, hey, generally better players. I mean, it's a lighter overall golf club that's going to be more, I would say, friendly to someone who doesn't have a lot of strength maybe, or has a
Sounds like a Japanese product to some extent.
But we have one of the Corda sisters playing. I'm losing which one it is, but we have one of the gals is playing our TSR 3 and one's playing TSI 1, I guess.
Right. Okay.
So
we had some real great success with TSI 1. Super lightweight. Ladies and older guys picked it up, juniors, and it's so easy to swing because there's little weight behind it.
Right.
And sometimes that crossed the border of a 2 too, because it's just seemingly as forgiving as a 2.
Right.
Yeah.
You can always, yeah, as easily as forgiving as two, if not more, but, you know, you got some more adjustability, so that's kind of nice.
Yeah. So launch date is tomorrow, or today, when everyone hears this, but that's the 8th of September. And we're officially allowed to sell as of 15th, effectively.
The official launch date is actually was the 30th. We bumped it up to the 23rd of September. So fittings and stuff like that will start basically tomorrow.
Right.
So we can start doing the active fittings. I think we've been able to promote for maybe about a month, and so it's hard to say. Hard not give anybody some lead time if you want to. Hey, we're doing a fitting, but when do you start fitting? Today.
Yeah.
So we gave them a little lead time. We gave you guys everybody lead time. You guys were good feedback for us, and hey, we can't promote it. You need some time to promote it so you can start out of the gate in the blocks the right way. So so we were able to do this stuff. The tools are getting in place right now, and
Yeah, I think they're all ready to go at all our locations as of.
Yeah.
Right?
They're in. Yeah, we're going to be on the shelf rolling as people hear this. So map on drivers 599. It's good. I got you. 599. and map on the fairway was 349. Right. So just let everyone know that. And that's pretty much it. I think that was great. You kind of covered all the points there. Really appreciate you coming out. And
we're looking forward to playing around for a month or so and doing a bunch of robot testing and see how well they do. But
just
fun.
Get out and get fit. Hit
Get
them,
out and
hit
get
them all,
fit.
basically.
Yeah, hit 'em all. Yeah.
That's our big thing. We made a big push to get fit, and we made it. We were trying to do a lot of it through August, which is kudos to everybody who came out to get fit. But
In Arizona, that
in
is,
Arizona
right?
in August, it's you're
degrees
talking
and-
it was 110. It was humid. Some of the guys had some.
Well, the
long
ball
days.
goes far though.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
You know, not
And for us old guys, it's easier to warm up.
yeah,
Doesn't
not a
take
whole
anything.
lot
Get
of
out the
trouble
car and
warming
warm
up.
yeah.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you soon on some new product.
Absolutely. Look to check back in after you get some of the testing done too. Love to hear the numbers. I'm excited. We're real confident in how this is going to do, and I think it's great for our season right here.
Yeah, we look forward to putting it in people's hands.
You got it.
Thanks, John.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.